Good morning, Midland, Texas. Buddy Webb here. This video, what I want to focus on is burglar alarms and the voice recorder that was stolen and then mysteriously reappeared, and tell that story. Um, one thing, there's been some trolls, crime suspects, people that they're probably involved in the murder attempt. Uh, uh, Spreading slander and lies on YouTube recently, and the one thing that I think maybe because of these criminals that due to the lawlessness is going on, that they're allowed to commit these crimes, because I'm a crime victim. I'm the victim of a capital attempted murder, and when I say that is proof showing that I wasn't shot with my gun, it means that somebody came to my home and shot me. That's premeditated capital attempted murder. I'm the victim of a capital crime. And I mean that all this other stuff, everything all the many people talking about tunnels, the young girl murdered, the evidence on Mike Lawhon, and all that's extra. But the bottom line is proof that I wasn't shot with my gun means that somebody came to my home and shot me. That's it. And everything from that point on is lawlessness. That's what's been going on. Absolute lawlessness. The press is involved in covering up the truth, keeping the public ignorant of what's going on here. And it looks like we even had some police involved in the murder attempt. And maybe they're the ones that sneaked into my home, tried to murder me. But this video is gonna talk about the voice recorder, okay, and the burglar alarms. I transferred into town as a 25-year company man in 2008. I buy this home, and from Sarah Lawhon, actually, because Mike Lawhon dies 2 weeks before I die, a young man, and I've now found evidence, I believe, that he was murdered. Okay, so I'm living here a couple of years. I realized somebody's breaking my house. I called the police. I reported burglary, and I wasn't in the attic, wasn't tunnels, wasn't none of that. Just I noticed somebody had been in my house. A couple of months later, I called them for the second time. This is January 2011. That was the first time that I heard somebody in the attic of this house. And of course, at that time, I didn't have proof of homeowners all over Midland, Odessa, across Texas, and other states reporting people in the attic. I didn't have multiple people documenting saying there was tunnels here. I didn't have triple proof that I wasn't shot with my gun. I didn't have none of that. I heard somebody in my attic. I I was a 27-year company man at that time, and I consider myself a model citizen, and never had a felony, and when I transferred here, I volunteered to lead the United Way drive for my company. I had crimes being committed against me. I had some criminals breaking in my home, and so one of the first things I did was install security cameras, but I could never catch them on camera, and it took the longest time. Literally years before I had proof that my cameras were being hacked. And so I now have that in the video that was provided to Homeland Security and the FBI earlier this year. And then, like I told the Homeland Security agent, I don't need to know how they hacking it, the technical stuff, even though I have an idea, to prove that they are hacking it. And he agreed with me. He says that's right. And then that's what I show in the videos that I'd found evidence, multiple examples of that my security systems were being hacked. That's why nobody's been caught on camera. But I was also using these motion detectors, which are not hackable. They're not computer networked. Anything connected to the internet can be hacked. But these are just standalone little devices that battery operated. You can move them around, and if you get in front of them, they go off. Okay, and so you can buy them at Home Depot, wherever. And so I'm using them along with my other security systems, and these people that break in my home are setting these things off. Well, they're audible alarm, they beep, whatever. I recorded it. I made over 100 videos of burglar alarms going on in my house. This is along with hearing people move around, and besides the fact that on the night that I'm shot, burglar alarms were going off in my attic. They're the same burglar alarms over and over and over. I reported that to the police. I reported that to the nurse. The ER nurse documented me saying burglar alarms going off. Well, one thing that's interesting, that's what this video is about, is that at the ER, I mean, literally, they cut my phone line, shot me from point blank range directly at an artery. I was supposed to die. Okay, and there were no stop or we'll shoot you. It was like you're walking by, boom, you fall to the ground. Nobody would expect to be shot from somebody under their home. Nobody would, right? I mean, that they had the perfect murder planned, and they were going to make a lot of money for it. This was cold-blooded murder. These are killers. That's all there is to it. And these killers have been free all this time. And so I crawled out. I make it to the emergency room, and I'm up there, and the nurse is documenting what I'm saying. And one thing she says, there's a voice recorder, and this is what I'm telling the police, Detective Rodriguez, right? There's a voice recorder at my house recording what was going on. The alarms kept going off over and over, and this is documented in the nurse's report. Okay, well, I get out of the hospital, and of course at that time I'm not suspecting that the police are corrupt and dirty and involved in murdering citizens or covering up the murder of citizens or none of that. And but then it becomes, I become aware that that's what's going on here, that they're trying to destroy the crime victim. I mean, they're protecting cold-blooded killers that are breaking into homes, killing people, stealing their property, and it looks like some of them are involved in it. But the one in 2013, when that absurd protective order was filed, remember it was filed by the ex-wife that's alleged to be involved in the shooting. I hadn't seen her, talked to her in a year and a half. She lived over 100 miles away. That was an absurdity to file that protective order. But due to that, my attorney subpoenaed all police records. And so I got a copy of the police records. Well, when I'm going through the police records, I find that there's no voice recorder there. Well, I've got this document from the hospital where I'm telling the detective there's a voice recorder, and the voice recorder recorded the burglar alarms going off in the attic. It proved I was shot during a home invasion. Okay, and that goes along with the other triple proof that's found that I wasn't shot with my gun. I ain't shot with my gun. Somebody else, I shot with another gun. Somebody come to my home and shot me. And then we add in the fact multiple people said there's tunnels here and all that stuff. Okay, but where's the voice recorder? Well, I made many videos on this voice recorder, I post them on Facebook over, y'all know I do this every day, telling this story over and over, trying to stop these killers that are breaking in homes, killing good, hard-working people. That's what's happening here. Using the press and corrupt police to murder good, hard-working people in their homes, unsuspecting homeowners that move into town with hope and excitement, spend their life savings on the American dream, and then they're hunted like an animal and shot and left for dead. That's what's going on here. That's what happened. And so voice recorder's gone. Big evidence, right? Well, I've made videos I posted about this voice recorder because that voice recorder, that showed burglar alarms going off. That showed I was shot during a home invasion. I had been reporting burglaries for over a year, I have the police report showing that, And, well, earlier this year, I started sending requests into the City of Midland records requests, and some interesting. That's where I got the police report that was withheld from me for 7 years. When we subpoenaed records, the police report for the night of the murder attempt was withheld from me. Okay, and because of that caused the secret police, because I had pictures of police. I didn't have names because I didn't have a report. And I didn't know it existed. And then I also find out from there 5 officers, Davis, Dickey, Chatwell, Angel, and Hale, were reported as being at or in my home, but they wasn't seen arriving or coming in my door based on the timestamps. And that told me they were under my home, so thus it's very possible it looks like that police are the ones that sneaked into my home and tried to murder me. And then they're trying to cover it up, and they cover it up by destroying the life of the crippled crime victim, the Christian, I mean, these are some low-life liars are what they are. And so, but back to the voice recorder, I sent in a request, I wrote this, let me see the proof of that voice recorder, and I get a document back. And the evidence logs that I had received in 2013 under subpoena, they took one piece of evidence, hand wrote it, they scribbled out a piece of evidence, and they hand wrote it in. Because I made a point of that voice recorder being stolen. All these years and all them videos and everything, they literally scribbled out one piece of evidence and wrote in voice recorder. because I made a point the voice recorder stolen, and they knew the voice recorder proves that I was shot during a home invasion, proving once again that this is a premeditated capital murder attempt. They came to my home and shot me. It doesn't matter if there's $1 million underground facility here that they're hosting, international oil show parties and murdering little girls, and all that. That don't matter. That's my property anyway. If they're on my property, they're breaking the law and they're committing a crime, And if they're on my property trying to kill me, every single one of them gets charged with accessory. And or obstruction of justice. That's the other thing. Any police officer knows about this underground facility and is involved in the cover up here can be charged with obstruction, because it is obstruction, right? This is a premeditated capital attempted murder of my life. It looks like they murdered the guy before me, and then we have the girl at the young adult show party. I'm going to show y'all some evidence to back up what I just told you. All right, here I'm back on the computer here. And as I was saying, one of the first things I did was install security systems. After I was shot, I think I'll start here. Here's at the. This is from the nurse's notes from my permanent medical records, and it's timestamped 11/27. This was the ER nurse Cresswell, and she is documenting what I'm saying. Remember, I crawled out at 10:42. This is 11:27, less than an hour later. And here I am. My neighbors are breaking into my house. There are sirens going off. I've tie-wired my cabinets and doors. In the closet, there's a voice recorder recording what was happening. The alarms kept going off. This voice recorder, and that's what it looked like. This is the stolen voice recorder I haven't seen since the night of the murder attempt, January 28, 2012. That's what it looked like. That was the model and everything. And so, and here once again, okay, and that looks like it's the same thing doubled up. At the timestamp at 12:03, I was talking on a white voice recorder in case something happens to me and saying what they're doing in my house. I have proof. Just go look. There's proof. See, I wasn't suspecting police corruption. Here I'm Mr. Law-abiding citizen here, never had a felony, and these crazy crimes are happening to me, and I really just thought the police were incompetent at the time, but then here you look at the timestamp at 12:03, and also at 12:03, Detective Rodriguez has patient's necklace and stated she was going to give it to his brother. That was a weird comment too. It's like, do you know my brother? From Hobbs, New Mexico, and that I hadn't talked to in several years. Ain't that weird? The dirty cop, Detective Rodriguez. But either way, what it says is Detective Rodriguez found out about the voice recorder, right? Okay, that she found out from me there was a voice recorder. Oh no, the voice recorder recorded the burglar alarms going off, and then that voice recorder disappears. Okay. And then I also found on April Chandler, she's one of the main players, another one of the dirty cops, right? And a secret police for 6 years. And she writes here in the narrative that she found my voice recorder from the closet and checked it into evidence. Well, remember, I had the evidence logs, and they didn't show a voice recorder. So I was making videos. I mean, we're talking years. I made videos. I'm gonna show you here. I went to my YouTube channel. This is my YouTube channel. I'll back that off. Buddy Webb on YouTube, and I did a search for voice recorder, put it in quotation marks, and these are just the videos that where you can see voice recorders mentioned. So there's like 20 of them. Okay, there's 20 different. Over and over and over for years. I made a big point of this voice recorder is stolen. Okay, and some of them were specifically about the voice recorder. And so murder attempt timeline, and I'm not going to play all them, but I'm just letting you know that I went on and on and on about this voice recorder, and even that one that was posted on my Facebook, and it was about the voice recorder was stolen by Midland Police because they found out from me that the voice recorder was at my house, and the voice recorder proved I was shot during a home invasion. Okay, well then earlier this year, I sent this request in to the city, and I was like, well, let me see the voice recorder, and they took the evidence log and they scribbled it out. See where they took a pencil or pen and they scribbled it out? And I had made a point of the shotgun shells. There's no empty shotgun shell found, proving that I wasn't shot with my shotgun, and I made a point of that, and there's no voice recorder. They scribbled out evidence and hand wrote it in and sent it to me. That was earlier this year right here, and so all this time, and 2013 when I got the evidence logs, that wasn't there. And it's more the cover up is what it is. It's covering up. And what are they covering up? They're covering up breaking into a private home and murdering people. That's what they're covering up, and the murder of the last homeowner. This is related and also important. And this was last year, July 10th, 2018. I sent an email to the chief of police, who you would hope would have some integrity. Sadly, he doesn't, and along with the mayor and the city council. And as I said earlier, if the chief of police, the mayor, the city council, if they know about this $1 million underground facility, which has been hosting international oil show parties, and I sit here crippled, living under the threat of death, being shot, maimed, mutilated, slandered, and not knowing if I'm going to live, every day, multiple death threats, and all the time they knew this, somebody needs to be charged with obstruction of justice, because that's what that is, obstruction of justice, and maybe or accessory to capital attempted murder. And so anyway, I sent this email, burglar alarm vids on Facebook. I told the story that I just told y'all about how I moved down here, with hope and excitement, and but spent my life savings on the American dream, and that to our home that's rigged, and I'm starting reporting crimes, and there these burglary and the theft, and they're breaking, and I didn't know, of course, the home was rigged, and I put a link to videos. 50 videos of timestamp videos of burglar alarms going off in my house, sent to the mayor and city council. And so, and then on a related note was the Vivint alarm system I put in my attic. Have you ever heard of anybody putting in?
Yeah, it was an alarm, and I believe it to be a valid alarm, because I get a lot of valid alarms. It's just the problem is that the police have been over here more than a couple times, and they won't look. And so, I don't see any big reason to call them, and that's kind of where we're at. So I just acknowledge the alarm, and then I document it, and then we just put it back in service.
I'm sorry, sir, for the trouble. So you don't want a police dispatch?
No, like I said, they've been here more than once, and they won't look.
Okay, and so, my Vivint alarm system, you probably never heard of anybody, there's probably nobody ever put a Vivint alarm system in their attic. And I was having to prove, that this was going on. And so here, this date is on 12/19. Actually, I want to do this one first. This one was on 12/9/12. And this is a police report, okay? And alarm is in the attic, okay? So Vivint recognizes somebody's in my attic. I paid Vivint, and look here who showed up, Michael Chandler. He's the cop that murdered his wife in 2014, a few days after I posted the rape and murder story about the young girl being murdered at the oil show party. This police report was withheld from me for 7 years, along with the other one. And I think the reason was because they changed this call from alarm call to a warrant. They were going to arrest me because Vivint called them and reported somebody in my attic, and then it got changed back, and I think that's probably why why that was withheld. And then 10 days later, on 12/19, Vivint once again recognizes somebody in my attic, and here I'm getting, they're defaming my character here, and that's been modus operandi right here. If they break in your home, steal from you, and then try to kill you, and they fail, then they destroy your life with lies, right? And here's no child. It is him. He thinks people are in the walls. Now keep in mind, Buddy didn't call the police and report somebody in the attic. Vivint did, and I paid a lot of money, and look, here's on this call, Chad Simpson. The other one was April Chandler's husband. Woodward. And this is Chad Simpson. He's the guy that murdered his wife, not April Chandler's husband. And then Stephen Bracken, he's the one that made this comment. And then I get letters from the city of Midland threatening to arrest me for what they called false alarm. And then these police were refusing to even go look. And obviously they knew that about the many homes that are rigged for theft and burglary and murder, you know. And I mean, that's real clear. And so that's what forced me to turn off this system, even though I had to pay for it, right? This Vivint alarm system is that I was threatened to be fined if my Vivint alarm system dispatched the police to my home again. And so I just wanted to show you some more evidence. Let's don't forget, as I started this video, proof that I wasn't shot with my gun is proof of a capital attempted murder. And them killers are still free. Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas.